All right, buckle up, everybody. We're diving deep today.
Into the Kybalion.
Exactly, the Kybalion and those 7 Hermetic principles you brought.
Yeah, it's a fascinating text. Claims to have the keys to understanding the universe, like a secret guidebook.
Hidden for centuries, right? Passed down through time.
Millennia, yeah. Attributed to these mysterious figures.
The 3 initiates.
Yeah, we don't know who they were. Adds to the intrigue.
Definitely. So we're dealing with anonymous authors claiming ancient secrets. This is getting interesting.
It makes you wonder, why all the secrecy?
Right.
The Kybalion itself hints that this knowledge was only for those who were ready.
Like a test.
Yeah, a test to see who's willing to put in the work to understand it.
Okay, so are we ready for this, you and me? And more importantly, are you ready, dear listener? Because the core of this Kybalion, these 7 Hermetic principles,
They claim to be the keys to unlocking the mysteries of existence. Huge. And each principle, it's worded so simply, yet profoundly. Like the first one, the principle of mentalism. It states, the all is mind, the universe is mental.
whoa, hold on. Are they saying the whole universe is basically like a mental creation?
Essentially, yes, but it's not saying it's not real, an illusion. The universe is mental, but it operates according to laws.
Okay, so it's still real to us because we're part of that same mental universe.
Exactly. Our minds are part of it.
This is blowing my mind already. Makes you think, if our thoughts are part of this, what power do they have? Can we actually change things with just our thoughts?
That's where mental transmutation comes in.
Mental transmutation.
Yeah, the Kybalion suggests that understanding these principles, especially vibration and polarity, we can learn to change our mental state, maybe even influence the world around us.
Okay, before we get ahead of ourselves, what are the other principles? We got to unlock these secrets.
Right, next is the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. This one suggests a connection between all levels of existence, meaning the same patterns and principles at every level, from the smallest atom all the way to the cosmos.
Like those Russian nesting dolls.
Yeah, exactly. Each one reflecting the larger one.
So if we understand how something works on one level, we can apply that knowledge to other areas. That's pretty powerful.
It is, and it makes you start looking for those patterns everywhere, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, what else?
The principle of vibration, it states, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates.
Now, this one seems to line up with modern science. Even solid objects are made up of moving particles.
Right, but the Kybalion takes it further. It says everything vibrates. Thoughts, emotions, everything has its own rate.
So they're saying emotions have, like, a frequency. Could you measure sadness or joy as vibrations?
Fascinating question. It doesn't go to specifics about measuring it, but it suggests that understanding these rates, we might be able to influence things, even our own emotions and mental state.
Interesting. So instead of measuring sadness, we should figure out how to shift those vibrations to a happier frequency.
Maybe so.
But how do we do that? What tools does it give us?
Well, that's where the principle of polarity comes in.
Yeah.
Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. This one emphasizes that everything exists in a spectrum. Opposing forces are actually different degrees of the same thing.
So good and evil, they're not totally separate, just 2 ends of the same spectrum.
Precisely. And we can use this understanding to transform negative states into positive ones, to shift our vibrations, as you said.
Powerful stuff. But if it's all a spectrum, does that mean there's no absolutes? Everything is relative.
Now that's a deep question. The Kybalion doesn't shy away from exploring that duality. It wants us to look deeper, see the connections between seemingly opposite forces.
So how do we navigate this world of duality, then? Are we constantly swinging back and forth between extremes?
Well, that brings us to the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall, highlighting the cyclical nature of the universe, the ebb and flow.
Like those ups and downs we all experience in life. Mood swings, challenges, those are all part of a cosmic rhythm.
That's how the Kybalion sees it. The key is not to resist it, but to understand it. Ride those waves.
Instead of being tossed around by them.
Exactly. And it applies to bigger cycles, too, like civilizations rising and falling.
So the key is recognizing the patterns and working with them instead of against them.
That's what it suggests. It's a pretty optimistic perspective.
It is. That we can influence these cycles, create a better future.
Right.
But where do our own actions fit into this? How do they impact the grand scheme of things?
That brings us to the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Pretty straightforward. Every action has a consequence.
Sounds pretty basic. What's so special about that?
Well, the Kybalion goes deeper, saying there are multiple levels of cause and effect. It's not just about what we do, but also the thoughts and intentions behind them.
Wait, so are they saying our thoughts have a ripple effect? They can influence events beyond our immediate control?
That's exactly what they suggest. It's like a chain reaction. A thought leads to an emotion, to an action, then a consequence. And those consequences can ripple outwards, affecting others, shaping events on a larger scale.
Wow, okay. That's a lot of responsibility. We better be careful what we're thinking about.
You got it.
Okay, so that's 6 principles down. What's the last one?
The principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles.
This is the one that often gets misunderstood, right?
It is. People think it's about biological sex, but the Kybalion is talking about creative energies.
So not male and female, but...
The masculine principle is about action, going outwards. Feminine is more receptive, inward-focused.
like the yin and yang?
Yeah, those complementary forces and everything. And the Kybalion says they're both essential for creation.
So it's not about one being better than the other, it's about the balance between them.
Exactly. Understanding that interplay, we can learn to use those creative energies to shape our reality, to get what we want.
All right, so we've covered all 7. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
But I'm starting to see how these principles could be used to make life better, more meaningful.
It's definitely a compelling picture. But remember, this is just the beginning. The Kybalion emphasizes that it's up to each of us to explore, experiment, see what resonates.
So it's not one size fits all. It's about taking these principles and finding our own path.
Precisely. No dogma here. It's an invitation to explore, to question, to discover your own truth.
So, dear listener, we've laid the groundwork. The Kybalion, the 7 Hermetic principles, but the real journey, well, that starts now. Okay, so we've got these 7 principles, a toolkit for the universe, but where do we even start?
Well, the Kybalion talks a lot about the all.
Right, the ultimate reality, the source of everything.
Yeah, that infinite, all-encompassing mind, the cosmic womb of creation.
But if the all is already everything, what's the point of striving? Shouldn't we just be content with things as they are?
That's where it gets interesting. The Kybalion suggests that the all is evolving, constantly expanding its awareness through its creations.
And that includes us?
Exactly. It's like the video uses this analogy of a seed.
Okay.
The seed has the potential for a huge tree, right? But it needs the right conditions to grow.
So we're like seeds.
Right.
With the potential to grow and expand.
Yeah. And we do it by understanding and applying these principles, moving from being controlled to a state of mastery, where we create our own reality.
Hold on, create our own reality. Can we just think our way to success and happiness? That sounds a bit too good to be true.
Well, it's not about wishful thinking or magic formulas. It's about effort, practice. Like the video compares it to learning an instrument. You don't just pick up good guitar and become Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
It takes time, dedication, understanding.
So learning to use these principles is like mastering an instrument. But instead of music, we're creating our reality.
Exactly. Learning to harmonize with the universe, understand the rhythms, the vibrations. Then we can use that knowledge to shape our experience.
Okay, I like that. But I need examples. How does this actually work in real life, like mental transmutation? How do we change our thoughts, our beliefs, in a way that impacts things?
Think about a time you were feeling down, maybe a setback at work or relationship trouble. What did you do to shift your mood?
Honestly, sometimes I just wallow.
Yeah.
But other times I try to force myself to think about something positive, things I'm grateful for.
Right.
Doesn't always work, but sometimes it helps to change my perspective.
See, that's mental transmutation in action. You're choosing to change your vibration, moving to a higher frequency. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Like building a mental muscle.
Yeah. We already use mental transmutation all the time, but unconsciously. It's about becoming aware of it, those thoughts and beliefs that shape our experience, and then choosing to change them.
Okay, I get that. But how does that connect to the other principles, like polarity, for example?
Remember, polarity is all about the spectrum. So if you're stuck in a negative state, you can use that understanding to shift your focus towards the opposite.
So if I'm feeling afraid, I should focus on courage. Angry, focus on peace.
It's not always the exact opposite. It's more about finding a point on that spectrum that feels better, more aligned with what you want.
So like a mental dial, we can adjust our focus, our intention, to move along the spectrum, finding a frequency that matches our goals.
You got it. And it's not just about changing ourselves. It's about influencing the world too. Remember, correspondence. As above, so below. What happens in our mind can manifest in our physical reality.
So are they saying we can actually change our circumstances just by thinking differently? Like, if I'm struggling financially, can I just think my way to wealth?
It's not quite that simple. We can't just wish for things. We still need to take action.
So it's not thought instead of action. It's thought with action, aligning the two.
Exactly. We become conscious creators using our thoughts, beliefs, and actions to get what we want.
Okay, I see the bigger picture now. But what about rhythm? If everything is always changing, how do we create anything stable, anything lasting?
Ah, that's where the Kybalion gets deep. Remember, rhythm is all about cycles. Growth and expansion, then contraction and consolidation.
Like those waves.
Yeah, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're wiped out. The key is to understand those cycles. Learn to ride them.
So we don't fight against the low points. We embrace them as part of the process.
It suggests that those low points, those contractions, are actually essential for growth. Like winter. Seems dormant on the surface, but underground, seeds are getting ready for spring.
Huh. I never thought of it that way. So challenges, setbacks, they're not always bad. They could be opportunities for growth, renewal.
Exactly. The Kybalion wants us to see challenges not as roadblocks, but stepping stones to mastery.
That's a much better way to look at it. But how do we actually do this? How do we go from feeling like a victim to becoming a master of our own destiny?
It starts with awareness,
Yeah.
recognizing that we're not just passive observers. We can influence things, change the steps, create our own dance.
Take responsibility for our own lives.
Yeah, not blaming circumstances, but recognizing our power to change them.
So stepping into our power as creators.
Exactly. And that brings us back to cause and effect. Every thought, belief, action, it all has consequences.
We got to be careful what we plant, so to speak.
Precisely. If we want a positive reality, we need to plant those seeds of love, kindness, compassion.
Sounds great in theory, but the world can be tough.
Mm.
How do we stay positive when surrounded by negativity?
That's where gender comes in. It's not just about those energies within us, but also in the world.
So understanding there's always going to be that balance. Light and dark, expansion and contraction.
Yes, and instead of getting caught up in it, we can strive to become a point of balance, a source of harmony, radiating those positive qualities.
Not just for ourselves, but for everyone.
That's the beauty of it. Self-mastery, but also connecting to something bigger.
Like we're all dancing together, and our steps can change the rhythm for everyone.
Exactly. Even small actions, little choices, they can have a ripple effect.
Okay, I'm feeling a sense of awe here. The Kybalion paints a picture of a universe that's not only connected, but responds to us, to our thoughts, beliefs, actions.
And that brings us back to the all. If it's this infinite mind, this source of everything, maybe it's also a mirror, reflecting back to us who we really are.
Whoa! So the universe isn't separate from us, it's a reflection of our inner world.
That's the idea, and that's what makes this so exciting. It's not just understanding the universe, it's understanding ourselves.
All right, we've explored the all, the practical side of things, but is there any evidence for all of this?
That's a big question. The Kybalion doesn't give scientific proof. It encourages us to be open-minded, test it out, see what feels true.
So not blind faith, it's personal exploration, discovery.
Exactly. It's an invitation to see possibilities, to view reality in a new way, and see what magic happens.
So if the all is this infinite mind, and we're all part of it, does that mean we're just like tiny pieces of a bigger consciousness? Do we have any free will? Or are we just, I don't know, puppets on strings?
That's the question, isn't it? Puzzles everyone. And the Kybalion, it offers this perspective that's both empowering, but also humbling. It says we're all connected to the ocean. Yeah, but we also have our own spark, our own free will to choose.
So we're not just drops in the ocean, lost in the vastness. We keep our own identity.
It suggests that the all doesn't want to erase us. It wants to experience itself through us, through all the diversity, like a prism.
Okay.
White light goes in, explodes into all those colors. Each one's unique, but they all came from the same source.
I like that. So we're unique expressions of the same consciousness, each playing our part. But what happens when this life is over? Does that individuality just poof, gone?
That's where spiritual evolution comes in. This life, it's just one chapter. The soul's journey goes beyond time and space, according to the Kybalion.
So death isn't the end, more like a transition.
It's what it proposes. It talks about different planes of existence, different levels of awareness, vibration, and we can influence where we go after this life by our actions, choices, our spiritual growth.
So it's not just random. We actually have a say.
The Kybalion says we do. It's about choosing our path, aligning ourselves with those principles that lead to greater understanding, compassion, connection with the all.
Okay, that's pretty profound. More control over our destiny than we think, both in this life and beyond. But how do we even know which path to choose? Any guidance on that?
It doesn't give us a rule book. It's more about listening to our intuition, following our heart, seeking wisdom from those who are further along the path.
Trusting ourselves, our own inner compass.
Exactly. And remembering it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
Twists and turns, ups and downs, clarity and doubt.
So don't get discouraged by the stumbles.
They're all part of it. The Kybalion says those stumbles, those are opportunities to refine our understanding, get stronger, become more resilient.
How to fall down to know how to get back up.
Right. And you're not alone on this journey. You have the all, your intuition, and everyone else who's seeking truth too.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing our listeners should take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is you are not just a passive observer. You're a creator, a co-author of your reality. And the Kybalion gives us tools to understand that power, to harness it.
So it's not just reading it and going, huh, neat. It's about putting it into practice.
Exactly. Experiment, explore, see what resonates for you. Become a conscious creator, not just of your own life, but of a more harmonious world, more compassionate, more aligned with the all.
This has been an incredible journey. Thank you for taking us through the Kybalion, sharing its wisdom.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, everyone, this is just the beginning. Embrace the mystery, explore, and may you always strive to live in harmony with the all.